What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 15th Doctor Ncuti Gatwa story, Dot and Bubble. So first of all, I want to apologise for this video being a couple of days late. I didn't really have as much time to record this on the weekend, and I did actually record it yesterday on Sunday. Hopefully this is going up on Monday the 3rd. I did record this review yesterday. However, after looking at some other people's reviews and thoughts on this episode, there were specific things that I missed, and I didn't want to put out that review, because it was basically, I'll say it right now, it's the racist part of this episode. The whole thing at the end, I mean, I love the performance and we'll get into that later, but I originally didn't pick up on that, the whole racist thing. Now that I've had a look at it again, and I've seen other people's thoughts on it, it's actually quite obvious, and I felt a little bit stupid that I didn't notice that in my first review. So that is why I'm deciding to re-record this, so we can actually talk about that, because I think it is a big thing to talk about. But anyway, let's get into this one, starting off with the cast. So Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor. This is the second story in a row that is Doctor Light. So we, of course, had 73 Yards last time out, which was completely Dr. Light. He was in it for maybe 2 minutes in the whole thing, but it was a very companion-focused story with Ruby. This one is Doctor and Companion Light. It's not super-duper light, like, Love and Monsters light, but they are kind of there in the background, but they're definitely not the main focus on it. And if anything, I'd say Ruby is in this more than the Doctor is. Until we get to the very end, of course. But for what we have, though, Ncuti is very, very good. The stuff where he's talking to Lindy on the kind of computer find time thing is good. Nothing outstanding. It is that final scene, though, which we will get onto later. He is brilliant. Apparently, this was like the first scene that he filmed after the giggle, I assume. But this was like his first filming day. So to put on the performance like that was amazing. This, to me, this is his Doctor moment right now. I am now totally on board with Ncuti as the Doctor. I mean, I was before. I thought he was really good, but he didn't quite have that moment for me. He came close in Boom, but I can safely now say that Ncuti Gatwa is the Doctor. This Doctor is great. That whole scene, especially now that I actually know the meaning behind it and what was going on there, it makes it even more powerful, and he did such a good job. Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday. Yeah, she's really good in this one as well. And this was another thing that I wanted to kind of redo. I haven't watched the episode again. I've still only watched it once, but I did rewatch that end scene. So that's kind of why I'm doing this again. But also just, thinking about it, I didn't really say much about Ruby in my previous recording of this, but she was actually quite good in this. She did quite a lot of stuff with, talking to Lindy, the main character that we're focusing on in this story. And, she kind of fits in with that, kind of millennial Gen Z. It's more Gen Z, isn't it? I don't know. I'm not very good with the whole gens. I don't know what's what. I'd say it's more like Gen Z, isn't it? Like 2000s sort of, kids. She, fits into that groove a lot more, the way she talks and everything. And yeah, she's really, really good with what she has. All right, so let's get on to some points about this story. This town where everyone always has basically a screen in their face at all times. So it starts off, we get introduced to this character, Lindy Pepperbean, I think was her name. Everybody has really weird names, by the way, which is, it's okay. It is a bit silly, some of the names, though, like Gothic Paul and all that sort of stuff. Very strange names. But yeah, basically we get introduced to this character and we figure out that everybody in this kind of city, in this town, has this thing called a dot and bubble. So the bubble is the screen that's around their heads that they look at, they're constantly looking at, even when they're walking around. The thing literally tells them forward, 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 left, forward, right. It tells them where to walk, and that comes up again in a bit. But and then the dot, I don't really know what the dot is other than it just kind of works in conjunction with the bubble. Maybe that's like the communication part of it. I don't 100% know the specifics between all that. But yeah, so they basically, and it's a commentary on how people these days are always, on their phones and always stuck on social media and, that sort of thing. another very Black Mirror-y sort of feeling episode, just like I kind of said in 73 Yards, but I think this one even more so, very Black Mirror-esque with the whole, everybody's looking at their phones all the time now. I think the people here are from ages like 17 to 24 or 25 or something, so they're very much targeting that age group. Which I think, on one hand, I'm like, it's a little bit of targeting. Not everybody is like that. I'm in that target range, and I don't spend hours and hours on my phone. A fair amount, but not hours and hours. So, yeah, I didn't mind the concept. There's creatures eating people. So the main monster of this story is these kind of slug creatures. I don't know actually what they're called other than slug creatures. I don't know if they have actually got another name. But yeah, basically there's these creatures where they're just eating people. So people, they walk around with their dot on bubble in their face, can't really see where they're going because the bubble tells them where to go, and it's basically walking them straight into these slugs, and then they're getting eaten by them. So I thought that's quite a scary, especially with like how pastely and bright the colors of everything is. That sentiment of people are literally walking into their deaths unknowingly is very strange. The Doctor and Ruby are trying to help Lindy. So we see the Doctor and Ruby pop up on Lindy's Fine Time social media kind of call thing. They pop up. Ruby does a lot of talking with her and does a really good job in that whole scene. I think that the stuff between them two is really good. And the Doctor's trying to, talk to her as well. And this is what I didn't realize at all on initial viewing. And like I said, I've only watched it the once, but now thinking about it, yeah, it makes sense. She very much doesn't like the Doctor in a lot of ways. She seems, she blocks him. She, at one point, she's really confused as to why they're in the same room together. She's like, you're in the same room together. And at first it makes, it just, within the context of the story, it's like, oh, well, maybe she's just confused as to why they're both in the same room and, that sort of thing, with how her life works. But that's not what she was going for there. And then later on, she says something about, after she blocks the Doctor and then the Doctor unblocks himself, she says something about, it's you, how have you got unblocked? I thought you just looked the same or something. That's the first proper thing that didn't twig on me, but for a lot of other people it did. Now that I'm hearing it, yeah, sure. So that was, yeah, definitely, I think on a rewatch, this one's gonna be a bit more of an eye-opener for me, but I do now understand, where all these little hints are. Lindy can barely walk, but she ran downstairs without an issue. Okay, so here's an issue here, and I didn't, I should have put a bit more in there. So there's this whole scene where Ruby and the Doctor tell her to put the dot and bubble down because then she can actually see where she's going to make sure that she doesn't step into one of these slugs and get eaten. So, but then she figures out that she can't walk without the bubble. The bubble tells you where to walk, and she apparently her function in her legs, walking is not a thing she can do. She has real trouble. She then proceeds to walk into a post and then bounce back and then walk straight into it again, which I thought was ridiculous. I can almost kind of understand the not being able to walk thing. She's so used to, this system telling her where to go, telling her how to walk, that doing it on her own might be a bit strange. Fair enough. But she's still got eyes. She can still see okay. So why she runs into this post twice? I mean, once I could almost understand as well, because she's like trying to focus so much that she doesn't see the post, but to then just instantly do it again, just for me was a bit stupid. And then you have the whole thing later on where she meets up with her kind of love interest, I guess, of the story, Ricky September, another strange named character. They do a bunch of stuff, he saves her and all this sort of stuff, and then they're running down these stairs because they're trying to get to this place where they've got to put like this code in that the Doctor's told them about. They run downstairs. Now we've seen all these issues of Lindy not being able to walk properly, but now all of a sudden she can run down a flight of stairs without any trip-ups. For me, that seemed a bit off. The creatures are killing in alphabetical order. So yeah, we get this revelation by the Doctor that oh, these are all the people that have died. Looking at all their names, all they're dying in last name alphabetical order. So all the A people with A in their last name die first, B, C, D, so on and so on. At first I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. But now that I think about it, I'm like, right, why? Why are they killing them in alphabetical order? It doesn't really make any sense. And I actually heard another because I don't usually do this. I haven't usually listened to other reviews before doing my review, but so I guess that might change things a little bit here. But it's just how it's ended up happening this time. But I did hear another review. I can't remember which one it was. It was either the review of Death or it was the Doctor Who show. 2 Doctor Who reviews that I watch. It might have even been the Who Addicts because I've actually listened to 3 reviews of this so far, and that's probably the only 3 I'll listen to. But one of them talked about how alphabetical order, if you're going to do an order, they should have done it by by likes or by subscribers. The most popular people will die last. That would have made more sense. Alphabetical order, it just doesn't make any sense. Why are they want to kill everybody off? Why are they doing it in this order? It just doesn't work. And then we have another thing that really doesn't make sense as well. Lindy makes the Dot kill Ricky because his surname is Coombs. Now, that whole scene I thought was pretty damn good. When she's worried she's about to die, she's about to get killed by the Dot, which is flying around and trying to kill her. Then she says his actual last name is Coombs. Ricky September is kind of his name once he became famous, kind of his username, I guess. His last name is actually Coombs. So then the Dot's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to kill him then. And then the Dot kills him. Now, I really liked that scene initially, but now that I think about it, and now that I think about this Dot can just, and it's you don't really see anything other than it go into his head and he falls backwards. There's no blood or anything. It's a pretty dark scene, and I actually really liked it. But the more that I think about it, I'm like, well, why, if these dots can just fly straight into people's heads, why are they bothering to have, get these slugs in the world for the slugs to kill them? If they can just fly and go into people's heads, why are they not just doing that? Kill everybody all at once. They're all dead. Done. We don't have to bother about the slugs. We don't have to bother about doing it in alphabetical order. We're just going to kill them all at once. It doesn't make sense. And finally, we get to the big point of this episode. The Doctor trying to save everyone, but they don't trust him because they're racist, basically. And originally my note was because they don't believe him / trust him. That's all I put, that they just didn't believe it. They thought, the whole plan is to go on this boat. That's going to take them to the home world, which we've worked out has already been wiped out. There's nobody left in the home world. Ricky figured that out earlier, but he's now dead, so he can't tell them. There's nobody left there. They're basically going to their deaths on that boat, is what is implied, and it's a very dark ending. But then you've got the whole racism thing as well, and the main thing that I think, not thinking about it, you can miss it, but it's basically this line where I think one of those guys is the guy with the long hair and the beanie. He says something like, don't get too close or you'll get contaminated or something. Speaking about the Doctor, of course, being black, and that's where that whole comes from. And then the Doctor goes, he's just trying to save them. He still goes off and, I'm just trying to save you. You're gonna die. I can save you all. And they just walk away. They don't believe him. They don't trust him because he is black. And it's super dark. That whole performance, that whole scene is so dark. It really is. I thought it was brilliant when I saw it, but now with that whole racism context in there as well, man, it puts a different perspective on it, but it's really strong stuff. And it's even sadder. I mean, it's sad in the regard that these people have now just gone to their deaths. The Doctor could have saved them if it was David Tennant, Jodie Whittaker, any other Doctor. They probably would have gone with them and survived. But because it is this Doctor, they're not going with him, and they're just going to their deaths. And on one hand, it's really sad because they're all going to die, but at the same time, it's like, well, they're all a bunch of assholes anyway. So, who cares? So, yes, that is Dot and Bubble. And I'm going to be honest, it's a little bit of a a little bit of a roller coaster. So a rating out of 10. I've said this quite a few times. At the end of the season, I'm going to do re-ratings because I think it's going to change quite a lot. At the moment, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. But this one's difficult for me because I don't really like the characters, although we figure out in the end you're not supposed to like them. So that kind of makes me feel like, okay, well, that doesn't bother me too much. It is a Doctor and Companion Light story. Having two Doctor Light stories in a row, I don't think is the best thing. But the performance at the end for the Doctor does at least boost that up a bit. So that does help. The general story, I think, is fine. It's not the most unique thing in the world, but it's fine. I thought the pacing was decent enough. The ending was amazing, but there were a few, things in there and quite a few fairly big plot holes, like why don't the dots just kill people? Why bother with these slugs? Why the alphabetical order thing? It just doesn't really make sense. So I think a 7 out of 10, because it is generally enjoyable. But like I said, with all my other reviews this season, the rating probably will change come the end of the season. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.